Hello everyone, my name is Mrs. Shivangi Sinha and I welcome you all once again to this online platform of LEDx. Today we are going to take our discussion forward on the professional courses which we were discussing ahead. So we have already done with the introductory part and we know that how this particular professional course is important for all of us, how this is one of the additional feather to our hat when we are dealing with our career perspectives. So initially in my introductory video, I mentioned that we have our syllabus and which has been divided into 3 parts and it deals with all the important perspective of the professional education. And we'll be starting with our first part, that is the medical law and ethics. And we'll see that how medical law and ethics is actually related to this health law. And where and how do we use the professional code of conduct in the process, in the conduct of this particular medical law in terms of health law. So let's start with our first discussion, our first topic, that is introduction to health law under medical law and ethics. Now, why are we starting with this particular topic of introduction to health law? Now, if you would just, reconnect to the previous lectures which we have discussed. So I have already mentioned that whenever we are going to start anything or whenever we are initiating any kind of topic, it's very important for all the technical education to know the particular concept of why and when. That is the reason I'll just reconnect that how this particular health law is actually one of the professional course and how it is related to medical law and ethics and where are the ethics and etiquettes being involved. So before to know that where ethics and etiquettes are being involved in medical profession, we should first understand that what is this all about. So in order to understand that what is this all about, we'll first start with the first part, that is introduction to health law. Now, what is health law all about? Okay. Why there is a need to have law, rules, regulations pertaining to health law, and why it is so important that today we are trying to bring it into one of the professional courses and we are thinking that we'll be having certain codes, ethics, different kind of things related to this. Now, once we are discussing about health law, the first thing which we need to understand is health. Okay, as we all know what is the meaning of our health. Our fitness, the way we are being presented, when a person is free from any kind of diseases, if I put it into a very simple term, that means we are healthy, we consider ourselves healthy. When we are trying to do any kind of activity, our daily professional activity, without the help of anything else, then we consider ourselves healthy. That could be considered as one of the prospects of health in the layman term. Now, health is one of the most important perspective, as I mentioned, and that is the reason it needs to be regulated properly. And that is the reason we have legislations, laws, rules, policies, which are actually regulating this health. And that is the reason we have this particular concept of health law. Now, we'll see that how this particular health law was actually being evolved, how it was being formulated. And then gradually we'll see that how it was being accepted worldwide. So as I mentioned that if we take it and if we consider in a very layman term, so what is health actually, or what is health law actually? So basically when we are free from any kind of diseases, any kind of other mental or physical imbalances, and we can do all our activities, all our professional activities properly in a proper time with a mental peace, then we can consider ourselves that we are healthy. Okay, now health is one important aspect which can be considered as the important part of everyone's lives, irrespective of the fact of their social economic background. Okay, so irrespective of the fact that the person is rich or the person is poor, everyone wants to be healthy. Okay, so this was the basic crux of health And in order to maintain this health, we need certain rules, regulations, and policies, because everyone, if we consider in our today's economy, if we consider our today's world, then everyone is not that capable enough to maintain themselves so much physically and mentally. Okay, at times there are so many pressures with different kind of people, whether it's financial pressure, whether it's the the social economic standard pressure. There are so many things. So that is the reason we need certain alternatives. We need certain regulations in order to maintain these kind of prospects, and that is the reason we have legislation and laws, and that together forms health law. Okay, now health law is something which is actually being recognized internationally. This particular concept is not a concept which is being considered family to family or into a very smaller basic area, but this particular concept is actually being recognized worldwide. How it has been recognized worldwide? So for that, I can give certain examples. Like for instance, in 1946, the WHO, okay, the World Health Organization, they have stated certain definitions on health law. They have given certain definitions on medical basis, and they have considered that how this particular health is an important perspective for the people around the world. Like they have stated that a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity, okay, can be considered as the prospect of health. Rather, their preamble also consists that the enjoyment of highest attainable standard of health is one of the fundamental right of the human beings without any discrimination. That means internationally also it has been considered that if we are speaking about any well-being, if you're speaking about any prospect, if you're speaking about about a single person, so we see that the person is not only having their food, clothing, shelter, but that particular person is also having a proper health care facility available to him or her, and that particular person is actually taking good care of himself, or is able to take good care of his or her family. So that all compartment, that all comprises together of a particular picture of health. And it has been internationally recognized. As I mentioned, that WHO has already recognized it in 1946. If we'll take another instances of the international recognition and the development, the historical perspective of the development of health law, we can also take the example of UDHR. UDHR in 1948 has specifically mentioned about the adequate standard of living of a particular person, which includes different kind of health prospects. Okay, this can be also taken forward into different conventions. Like for instance, we have Covenant on the Economic, Social and Cultural Rights. This particular covenant, which was being formulated in 1966, also consists a very basic and a very important part, that how this particular health is actually one of the important aspects. So by these examples, we can actually formulate that health law is actually one of the most important prospect. This is something which has been spoken about from a particular nuclear family to a joint family to I think to the legislation, to the parliaments. It is something which is being discussed internationally, because if it's been always stated that if you have health, then that amounts that you have the wealth, because if you're not healthy, then obviously you won't be able to do any kind of activity. And we can see that how it has been interlinked in the international perspectives as well. So that was the first aspect. Secondly, if I want to introduce that how this particular concept of health law is important into organizations to organizations. So we have various examples which have been laid down. Like for instance, there are organizations which are being formulated in US and UK. There are organizations which are being formulated by different lawyers. And these lawyers, okay, in the US we have such kind of organization, in UK we have such kind of organization, and these organizations, these lawyers or these people who are involved in different professions, okay, they try and keep the people and the environment healthy. They try and keep the people engaged in somewhere or the other. They try to give certain awareness, okay, to different kind of people, and to the people who are working with them. So there are certain organizations, there are I would say certain institutions which actually work and help these medical facilities to grow. And since they have understood that what is the importance of these medical facilities, what is the importance of health all over the world, that is the reason it has not only been recognized internationally, but now we have different states as in different nations, okay, which have different rules and regulations who are working upon this, which we'll be discussing in our fourth videos and the continuation of this particular video. Taking this particular discussion forward, like I mentioned, that there are so many organizations which are actually working on these healthcare benefits. I mentioned about the organizations which are situated in US, UK. So in the same way, we can actually conclude from this particular point of discussion that keeping or maintaining a health record, or keeping or maintaining a certain health benefit or the well-being, as the definition which is being mentioned by the WHO, it's not an individual responsibility. It's always a collective responsibility. So this introductory part, we can actually formulate and we can give a certain analysis on this particular aspect, that maintaining a health, okay, maintaining certain health record for certain population or for certain group of people is actually a collective approach. And that is the reason we need people from different organizations, we need people from different places which can actually come together and help us to make this health law, or to formulate this health law into a very big structure, so that the people can get more benefit out of it. And that is the reason when we are discussing about the development and when we are discussing about the introductory part of health law, I'll actually take this particular discussion forward and I'll show you that how even the government and the non-government agencies also think that there are certain institutions who actually will come together, work together, will not only help the people in an individual aspect to grow, but also in the collective approach to grow and to know the importance of health. Because if you'll see the latest examples which have been coming forth in the medical history and in the medical term, so we can see that there are certain areas which are still gray areas. There are certain areas which are not being still spoken about. Okay, and that is the reason we need certain laws and legislations for that. We do have certain laws and legislations for that, but we need to see that how it is being implemented, because making legislation is easy, but executing is some other part. So we'll continue with this particular discussion and we'll see that how these non-governmental agencies or the agencies which are not actually working under the government are also helping the medical sector, are also helping the evolution of the health law.